The City of Witches, Episode 35, Capo di Tutte Fate, Chapter 9. After a while of Lily overloading the cannon, Angelo saw that the bar was full. The cannon was fully loaded. It was time to get it to his client. "Hey Lily, the cannon is fully loaded now." Angelo tried to outshout Lily's spells. Lily stopped her barrage of spells. "Has it loaded just now?" she asked. "Yes," said Angelo. "Okay, one last lightning bolt and we're getting this to Omiak," said Lily. "This thing better not explode with me in the seat," said Angelo. Lily chuckled. "Don't worry, just don't accidentally pull the trigger." The plan was set in motion. There was no turning back now. Omiak was really happy to see his toy back. Once again he felt safe in his city. The advantage in the arms race was his again. "You have no idea how worried I was," said Omiak. "And would you look at that, it's fully loaded. Nishvanat must have been trying to invade me." "I can see that, Kanimfelli, but at least we can be glad that it's ours again," said Lily. "Yes, and I can't wait for a little field test," said Omiak. "Don't you think we should demonstrate the thieves what they've stolen?" "Your decision, Kanimfelli," said Lily. "Wonderfully said, my dear Dickens," said Omiak. "Say, Angelo boy, would you like to join us?" "What did he say?" asked Angelo. "He's inviting you to an invasion on Nishvanat's territory," said Lily. "Ah, then tell him I'm not interested," Angelo said, and Lily translated. "Well, your loss," said Omiak. "Speaking of which, since the crisis is solved, can I get some free time for the invasion?" asked Lily. "I suppose you don't need a translator for a military campaign in a territory that speaks the same language, and I would like to visit my family in the human realm." "Milos, you're free," said Omiak. "Panko!" "Yes, Kanimfelli," said the soldier called Panko. "You will assist Miss Dickens on her trip," said Omiak. "That's all for our meeting. Bye, have a great time. As great as I will have with our little machine over here." It wasn't long until Angelo, Ursula, Lily, and Panko arrived in the human realm. Even the border official had no trouble with the story. Lily got nostalgic at seeing Offenheights for the first time in years. The city she flew from once she could fly. She never thought that she would want to move back, that she would ever fly in that air again, especially not in circumstances like those. There was just one problem to take care of. Lily discreetly pointed her finger at Panko and chanted a spell. "Li ishin sulushi min shikleya in kokyo takalinimia." In an instant, Panko stopped. Lily took out a knife and cut a sleeve of her uniform. She accidentally hurt herself, but she didn't mind. She even seemed to be glad that the sleeve was covered in blood. She gave her sleeve to Panko and told him an order. "Return to Omiak and tell him I was killed by Nishvanat's spies on the other side of the border. If the controller asks you about me, tell him the same story." Panko took Lily's sleeve and turned around. He went back to the border with a blank expression. Meanwhile, Lily flew to Ursula and Angelo. She was holding her armpit and seemed to be in pain. "Sorry, do you have a handkerchief or something?" Lily asked. Just then, Ursula noticed that her sister was seriously hurt. "What happened to you?" Ursula asked. "Trust me, it was something I had to do," said Lily. "Now say, could we patch me up and go see your friends?" "Do not say stuff like that like nothing," said Ursula, looking through her backpack for a tissue. Omiak's army was advancing to Nishvanat's territory. Omiak wasn't moved by the supposed loss of his translator. At the moment, he was high on rain and power. The two armies met near Nishvanat's garrison. Nishvanat's army had a great advantage in numbers. Omiak, however, wasn't scared. He believed in Sunset of the Gods. "This is your last warning. Surrender now or we will destroy you," Omiak announced. "Never," announced Nishvanat. "We know the secret of your weapon." "Yolos," said Omiak. "Say your final prayers." Omiak gave his soldier the signal to arm Sunset of the Gods. He was glad that it was already loaded to its full capacity. The cannoneer aimed at the heart of Nishvanat's army and pulled the trigger. In an instant, the whole city became bright. After the armies, there was only a giant crater left. The mafia soldiers have simply disappeared. Omiak and Nishvanat couldn't do anything but look as they stood armyless in their city. "What happened?" said Nishvanat with a trembling voice. "What's going to happen now?" said Omiak, terrified of the future. Because the future certainly didn't look bright for the fairy mafia leaders. Their first and last line of defense were their armies. Without them, the legitimate rule of the country could finally be re-established. "So yeah, I guess the mafia will soon fall and our country will return to normal," said Lily from Angelo's hood. Ursula and her friends gathered in Macbeth's with Lily to listen to the stories from the fairy realm. Lily looked comical, sticking out of Angelo's hood and munching on a chip just as long as her. It had been a long time since she ever ate anything just as big. Lily felt that a single chip could be enough for her for both dinner and supper. "That's interesting, but how would the engineers hide such a huge defect?" asked Giovanna. "I don't know. I guess they just got lucky that Omiak didn't inquire about it," said Lily. "I'm starting to think they made it with premeditation," said Angelo. "No, that was just another stroke of luck," said Lily. "Who'd thought that'd be how the mafia wars end?" said Ursula. "Excuse me?" said Sarah. "Well, it isn't something you'd suspect," said Ursula. "Sorry, but you said that it's such a strange way," said Sarah. "You said I'd sound better if I used contractions, didn't ye?" said Ursula. "Holy, you really do have a hard time using them," said Sarah. "Hey, it was your idea in the first place," said Ursula. Everybody, including Ursula, laughed at her funny little problem. "Hey sister, you never really told me how it happened that you wound up in the mafia, had you?" said Ursula. "Oh, it's a long story," said Lily. "But yeah, I could tell you." "I bet it's going to be interesting," said Ursula, and listened to the story.